You know, there's this invisible force at work, all around us, every single second of every day. It's the real reason you can smell coffee brewing from the other room, and believe it or not, it's a huge part of what's keeping you alive. So today, we're going to break down the science of spreading out.
Okay, let me ask you something. Just picture this. Someone on one side of a room sprays some deodorant. A few seconds later, you're all the way on the other side and you can smell it. How? How did that scent actually travel through all that air to get to your nose?
You might think it's just, I don't know, magic or something. But it's not. The answer is a totally fundamental process in science, one that's happening constantly, everywhere.
And that process has a name. It's called diffusion. And trust me, by the end of this, you are going to start seeing it absolutely everywhere.
So, let's get back to that deodorant smell. How does it make that journey across the room? Well, it all comes down to a really simple, kind of beautiful rule in nature. You can think of it as the golden rule of spreading out.
So at its heart, diffusion is super simple. It's just the natural movement of particles from a place where they're really crowded, a high concentration, to a place where there's more room to breathe, an area of low concentration. It's just nature's way of balancing things out.
Let's map this onto our deodorant example. So right when it's sprayed, you've got a tiny cloud of scent particles all packed together. That's your high concentration. Instantly, they start moving out, randomly bouncing off air particles and spreading into the rest of the room where there are way fewer of them. They keep doing this until eventually they're pretty much evenly spread out everywhere. That's it. That's diffusion right there.
But why do they spread out in the first place? What's actually making them move? To get that, we need to zoom in. I mean way, way in to the microscopic world of tiny particles. This is the engine that drives the whole thing.
So, scientists have this thing called the particle model to explain how matter works. It's got 4 basic rules. First, everything is made of particles. Simple enough. Second, these particles kind of like to stick together. They're attracted to each other. Third, and this is the big one, they are always moving. They've got this thing called kinetic energy. And fourth, the hotter things get, the more energy those particles have and the faster and crazier they move.
And that constant jiggling and moving around explains why we see diffusion in some things, but not others. In gases and liquids, the particles are free to just zip around and bump into each other so they can mix and spread out. But in solids, the particles are locked into place, kind of like a grid. They can vibrate, sure, but they can't actually travel, and that's why you don't really see diffusion happening in a solid object.
And as Miss Armit, the expert from our source material, puts it so simply, it's all about that freedom of movement. Because the particles in liquids and gases can move around freely, diffusion can happen.
Okay, that's enough theory for now. Let's talk about some really cool examples that you can actually see with your own 2 eyes. We're about to turn your kitchen into a little science lab.
Okay, let's kick things off with a super fun and colorful experiment. Imagine you arrange some of those brightly colored hard sweets on a plate, and then gently pour some water over them. What do you think happens next?
Well, first, that colorful sugar coating starts to dissolve. Right around each sweet, you get this little area of super concentrated color particles. And then, just like we talked about, those particles start to diffuse. They move from that crowded area out toward the middle of the plate where there's no color yet. And what you get is this amazing, vibrant pattern. It's a perfect, beautiful picture of diffusion in action.
And this amazing process isn't just for fun little experiments. It's actually at the very heart of one of the world's most popular rituals.
Yep, making a good cup of coffee is literally all about mastering diffusion. Think about it. You grind the beans to create way more surface area. You tamp down the grounds to make sure the water flows through nice and slow. And you use hot water. Why? To give those coffee particles a ton of extra energy. All of this is done for one reason, to help those delicious coffee molecules diffuse out of the grounds and into your water.
All right, so we get what diffusion is, and we've seen it work its magic. But what makes it go faster or slower? And really, beyond our coffee, why is this process so incredibly important?
Well, it turns out 2 main things affect the speed. First, the substance itself. Diffusion happens way faster in gases than in liquids. That's just because the gas particles are already more spread out and zipping around faster. And second, temperature. Remember how heat gives particles more energy? Well, the hotter something is, the faster its particles move and the faster diffusion happens.
And this brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important point of all. Diffusion isn't just some interesting thing that happens in the kitchen. It is absolutely, fundamentally essential for life itself.
I mean, right now, as you're sitting here, diffusion is happening all over your body.
It's how the oxygen you just breathed in gets from your lungs into your blood cells. It's how the nutrients from your lunch get from your blood into your cells to give you energy. It is the basic delivery system that moves stuff in and out of every single one of your trillions of cells, and it's what's keeping you going.
So, from the smell of that deodorant to the very oxygen that's powering your brain, diffusion is this silent, invisible process that shapes our entire world and literally makes life possible. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing unseen forces are at play all around us right now?